It's 9:23 p.m. on April 21st, 2015. I'm standing at the southern terminus of the Pacific Crest Trail on the border of Mexico. The sun has gone down. I'm about to take my very first steps of a 2,600-mile journey northward. This is Ratatouille, and you're listening to Trailside Radio.
The weather, if it's pain that you're going through, whatever it might be, you're still dealing with that, but the trail surprises you in ways that I think pique your interest and keep you moving south or moving wherever you want to go.
I heard something up and I could look up and I could see there was a bear, maybe two, and I see this trail and they're kind of moving down. I said, well, the smart thing is they're heading in that direction, so why don't I just film the trail and hopefully they'll come down the trail. And lo and behold, two cubs just come into frame. I'm holding the camera there.
To me, a trail angel is someone who has the ability to allow hikers to come to their place, to relax, maybe stay a night. Most hikers do. I fed them dinner when they came in and breakfast the next morning.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining me. I just got dropped off at the trailhead here. I had a lot of trouble on the bus ride down here from Portland. Had a breakdown and a nice unplanned 8-hour layover. I had planned to get to San Diego this morning and have plenty of time to take the bus out here to the start of the trail and maybe run a couple of errands along the way, but by the time I got into San Diego it was too late for any of that. But fortunately, through the wonders of the internet, I found a trail angel named Mark Schisler, who very kindly met me at the bus station and drove me out here with a stop to pick up some water and an extra canister of camping fuel along the way. We did see a couple of other hikers headed up the trail as we approached, so there are two pairs of hikers about a mile or two ahead of me. Not sure how long they plan to hike tonight. I'm not sure how long I plan to hike tonight. Not sure how fast they're going or how fast I'll be going. So I may or may not meet anyone tonight. But if I don't, it'll be the last little bit of solitude I get for a while, I suspect. Because tomorrow I will be completing the first 20 miles, getting to Lake Merino, where there is a big event being held called Kickoff, and the annual Day Zero PCT Kickoff, to be specific, and they're having two sessions, so I'm attending the first one, which starts tomorrow on Wednesday, goes till Friday, and then the second one is going to go for a couple days after that. And there's going to be a lot of thru hikers there. People are getting ready to hike the trail. People who've hiked a little bit of the trail already and have been shuttled back to attend this event. There will be people there who have thru hiked the trail in years past. There will be people who are interested in learning more about the trail and to hike it in the future, as well as just people who are vendors, gear vendors, and other people involved with hiking. And I'm sure that I should get a lot of neat interviews, I hope. And hopefully in this episode and the next, you will get to hear a lot of those encounters that I have with people. I made it to kickoff early the next day. I hiked 8 miles that first night. I was greeted in the first mile by a desert pocket mouse. It was right in the middle of the trail, caught in my headlamp like a proverbial deer in headlights, and I thought of it as a little greeting party sent to welcome Ratatouille to the desert. I cowboy camped that first night underneath a small madrone tree. For those who don't know, cowboy camping just means to sleep without a tent or without a tarp. And I just laid out my bedroll underneath the tree. It was a very, very short tree. I just laid out my bedroll and got a few hours of sleep. Woke up bright and early and hiked the rest of the way in the morning while being routinely buzzed by Border Patrol helicopters, which is what you heard a moment ago. Checking to make sure checking to make sure I wasn't someone who had crossed the border illegally, though I do suspect that. Hung around for a while, gave me plenty of time to get my camera out. Of course, just as I got lined up for a good photo, it dove away. When I got to Lake Marina, about 20 miles from the border, I saw a whole series of vendor tents set up and found my way past those to the registration tent. Got my name badge and hiked across the campground to stake out room for my tarp in the little shared campsite that I'd been issued. Kickoff itself was just really amazing. I ended up staying for both sessions, which I hadn't planned, just because I was able to get so many great interviews, and I was also having a pretty good time. I met hikers from around the world who are all on the trail now. I interviewed quite a few inspiring people, attended some classes and presentations. I entered a gear contest for original and invented or homemade gear. It was hosted by Squatch, who you'll hear from later in this episode. He emceed a number of events throughout kickoff. I came in 8th place in the gear contest for session 1, which gave me 8th pick of the prizes. I was lucky enough to somehow still get my first choice of all the prizes, which was a copy of the book Wild by Cheryl Strayed, in Turkish, though. It was a Turkish copy of Wild. I don't speak Turkish, by the way, for any listeners who might be wondering. I did send that book home. I'm not carrying it on the trail. It's a little too heavy. Fortunately, they have a temporary post office set up at the kickoff each day, mostly for people like myself who need to send something home, whether it's something we acquired at kickoff or it's people who got a pack shakedown and realized that their pack was too heavy, had some veteran hikers shake down their pack and help them figure out which things they didn't really need or which things could be easily and affordably replaced by something lighter weight. Sending home some of their other gear that they had thought they would need and already determined they didn't. Really, just about everything that you might need to through hike the Pacific Crest Trail, you can buy at kickoff between all of the vendors there. I actually regretted having stopped at a major outdoor store near San Diego to buy a canister of fuel because it was several dollars cheaper at kickoff. There's a lot of great advice and information and gear available. The Wolverines were a group doing the shakedowns, and they even had a hiker box. And hiker boxes are a place where hikers will leave what they don't need and other hikers can pick up what they do. And it's kind of amazing how much stuff from gear to food to fuel can be found in hiker boxes. Throughout the 5 days of kickoff, the 2 sessions, the excitement continued to build up. A lot of people came and went. By most counts, there were at least 1,000 people that came through kickoff at some point. Throughout the event, the weather also just continued to turn colder and windier, and eventually it got pretty rainy, which was nice for the desert. As far as the drought in Southern California, the rain we got was just far too little, far too late to make much of a difference, but it was a really interesting Saturday night to see the whole campground get shook down and find out whose tents were trail ready and whose tents were not. Let's start with a hiker who, along with his friend Justin Lichter, made history this year. The two of them were the first to through hike the Pacific Crest Trail in the winter. This has been tried before with fatal results. and the two of them got the hiking community pretty excited. A lot of people following them on their blogs and meeting them and helping them along the way. It's a pretty tremendous accomplishment that depended on a certain amount of knowledge and experience that the two of them have. Through hiking the trail in the summer is something that just about anybody can do. I've met people young and old, and people recovering from all sorts of injuries and having survived all sorts of illnesses and surgeries, all out making it happen out here on the trail. But to hike in the winter definitely requires an extra amount of determination, as well as know-how and experience. So his name is Sean Forey, better known as Pepper, and he was a presenter at Kickoff. He gave a presentation at both sessions about his winter hike that included a bit of snow knowledge for those of us who either might get to the Sierra before the last of the snow melts away, or might possibly get caught in some snow by the time we get up into Washington. He's a very nice guy, and he was kind enough to spare a few minutes for Trailside Radio. So let's give that a listen. I'm standing here with Pepper.
That's me.
Of Trauma and Pepper. Great.
Trapper.
Trapper.
Yeah.
Tell me your real name.
Sean Forey. My mother calls me that.
All right. Yeah. And you are known primarily these days for being, the two of you being the first winter through hikers of the Pacific Crest Trail. What inspired you to do this?
We've done the BCC before, and I think with every trip, we try and think of something new to do or something new to see or experience, and we both love the PCT, and just being able to be out there in a totally new season, and I think especially incorporate some skiing travel was high on our list and something we've been talking about for a long time.
What sort of background did the two of you have that gave you the skills you needed to do this?
Both of us started out just like any other normal hiker. Like, we made a ton of mistakes and learned as we went, and I think the thing that we had in our advantage was just consistently going out year after year and doing, I think, a progressively harder challenges, and I think our skill set collectively is appropriate and valuable for the nature of a winter PCT hike. So Trauma's really versed in winter snow assessment, and I come from a strong background with this cold weather travel, and we're super comfortable with kind of not knowing how things are going to pan out and just kind of moving on the fly and working through those problems.
Mm-hmm. And the two of you have a lot of experience hiking together, build up a rapport. Was that?
Yeah, I think the relationship that Trauma and I have together is a huge advantage. I couldn't imagine doing this trip with someone who I couldn't relate to or didn't have comparable skill sets. There's so much that we rely on each other with, and that depend on. And I think if one person's lacking in any sort of necessary field, then it becomes a real challenge to be collaborative on something like this.
Were there any times during the adventure that you asked yourself, what the heck are we doing? Why are we here attempting this?
I would say on a daily, but it would quickly be kind of erased by like an immediate high point, or you just have that emotional roller coaster every day of if it's the weather, if it's pain that you're going through, whatever it might be, you're still dealing with that, but the trail surprises you in ways that I think pique your interest and keep you moving south or moving wherever you want to go.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest challenge that you didn't anticipate?
Ooh, good question. Well, Frostbite definitely caught us off guard. Wasn't anticipating that. That was a 3-month process of walking through that. I think that the bigger one was just the lack of snow kind of led to more unforeseen challenges that we were not sure how to address. So we were hoping to ski a lot more miles than we did, and when there's not a consistent snowpack, that on and off again relationship with skiing is not very efficient, and there's no perfect system for when it's variable conditions or on and off snowpack. So we were hoping for a little bit more of a winter, I think.
Mm-hmm. Did you get good support from people along the way?
I think that was one of the best outcomes of the trip was just the overwhelming support that we've received from the hiking community. And I think part of that has to do with we were in the off season of hiking, and a lot of people are dreaming about their own adventures for the summer and getting excited, and to kind of be the only folks out there moving during the winter, I think helped bring a lot of attention to our trip and pique a lot of interest. And it was an amazing outpouring of support with every time it felt like we got to town, there was somebody that was there to help us or offer support, and that's something I always remember.
What was your favorite part of the experience that you wouldn't have had if you were doing the hike during the regular season?
I think just the first of all, the solitude. I think there's definitely the increase in the use of the trail it's great. The more people that are out there experiencing the PCT is more advantageous for conservation and kind of recognition of the PCT. But to know that there's that contrast of what it could be like, and to know we had the entire trail to ourselves was pretty amazing that we could experience something like that and had that kind of privilege.
And how far of that along the trail did you go between seeing hikers?
So we had 1 or 2 sunny days in Washington. So Snoqualmie Pass was a sunny weekend. We saw some day hikers there, and we didn't see any other day hikers until Walker Pass, about 1,700 miles. So that's pretty far.
The opposite experience that me and these other 50 people a day hikers are having. Yeah,
we got pretty excited when we saw like old snowshoe tracks or a couple ski tracks here and there. I think a couple times we might have just missed some people. There were some snow survey crews out in the High Sierra when we were there, and we got pretty excited when we saw some fresh tracks, but never saw them.
Do you have any advice for people like myself who are just setting out on their first really long distance through hike?
I think my biggest advice is it's okay to make mistakes. And I think a lot of times people are scared to put themselves out there or try something new because they want it to go perfectly. And the things that stand out for me in my hiking career, the times that didn't go perfectly, and I think that's when I've learned the most about myself and about being outdoors, and it's something to laugh about after the fact. I mean, what else are you going to sit around and drink beer too? So,
yeah. Where can people go online or elsewhere to find out more about your adventure and read or learn more about it?
Yeah, so Trauma's website's at justinlichter.com and mine's at seanforey.com.
The thing about food is it's all good, but there's no food as good as trail food. Trail food.
Today's trail food trail tip is brought to us by
Dicentra.
And what's the tip that you have for us?
So I always tell everyone that they need fat and calories and protein as they're hiking down the trail. And I recommend Nido, which is full fat milk, which is hard to find. You can find it, Walmart has it, Latin markets have it, a couple other places have it, but it's not always easy to find. And this is actually Jester's tip that he gave me a few years ago. Baby food formula, powdered baby food formula, because you're going to find that at every single grocery store stop that you go to. And it's a full fat milk. You can get soy version. It's fortified. It has the extra calories that babies need, but thru hikers also need. You're burning 5,000 plus calories a day. And you can put it in anything you would use milk for. Macaroni and cheese, your oatmeal, your couscous, your hot chocolate. And it'll help you get that extra fat and calories and a little bit of protein, and it's fortified, so you get a little bit of extra nutrition in there too. So I always try and sneak that in, little healthy stuff in there. So yeah.
Awesome. Baby food formula. You heard it right.
Powdered
baby food formula. Dicentra is the author of
One Pan Wonders.
Available from Yogi's Books.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The thing about food is it's all good, but there's no food as good as trail food. Trail food.
Is this thing on? Is it working?
It is on. Yeah, if you get too close, it'll clip here. I'm just
Oh,
kind
I'm
of keeping it in the
sorry.
middle. Oh, you're
Is
right.
that- is that a
Actually,
good-
that didn't clip. That was all right. But,
Okay, I knew that intuitively. I could keep it at a certain
yeah.
level.
You know how this technology thing works.
I'm not really. I still think it's magic that it somehow just.
Well, that is.
happens.
I thought that is it, right?
It is. No, yeah, dude.
Okay.
You've
okay.
been told correctly.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Good. So I am here with the infamous Squatch. Real name Scott Harriet?
Yeah, Harriet.
All right, Harriet. How many movies have you done? The maker of many trail movies.
320.
320 movies. I've seen them all.
Wow.
10 times.
You need a life because my films are not worthy of that. No, long distance related films. I've made 8. 3 on the AT, 3 on the PC, or 4 on the PCT, and 1 on the Camino de Santiago. And it looks like I'm going to Iceland this year to do a kind of a combo bike and hike film. So it'll be hopefully 9. And I've also made a couple of on the topic of Bigfoot because I'm obsessed with the phenomena. Yes, I do think it's real, but I also think there's tons of horse pucky dealing with the subject as well. That's what makes it fascinating. Trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. Is that even on? Is that even good? Okay.
Right. How long have you been making movies?
Since actually 2002. Well, when I was a kid, I made 8mm films, and I was a big film fan. My folks like watching films. I love watching films. 2003 or 2002, I made Squatching, which was about 43 minutes long. That was really my longest venture I'd done at that point. But my first feature-length film would have been Walk in 2003. And that's when I came out to, when I first found out about the PCT, and I wasn't even really interested about walking it at all. I just, because I was interested in the Bigfoot stuff, part of the incentive was, these would be people to interview about possible Sasquatch stuff, as people who go out in these remote areas. So that was kind of one of the introductory keys to getting into the whole subculture. And it's been great ever since. I mean, almost every year except 2004, I did a thing on weird roadside attractions. It's been something to do with the outdoors and mostly long-distance hiking.
I've only seen a couple of your films, I'm going to confess.
Oh, damn it.
I know, I'm behind the time. I've only seen 2 of
What have you
320. I saw Flip Flop Flipped, and I saw Walk.
Okay.
One.
Wow, the first and the last.
The first and the last,
Maybe
right?
that's good. So you can see how far I've digressed.
Well, I started with the first because that seemed like a logical place to start at the beginning.
Right.
And then I had the opportunity to see Flip Flop Flipped when you premiered it in Portland recently.
That's right.
So I got to see that on the big screen,
And you're like, wow, he's really gotten worse. He's just doing this interesting de-evolution of filmmaking. But
to me, one of the things that makes your movies especially great is the sense of humor that comes through. Where do you get your sense of humor? What's your secret?
I bought a can of it when I was 18.
How much did that cost you?
$18.75.
$18.75?
Weird, isn't that weird? Kmart.
Oh, right.
Can of humor. Last 40 years.
Was that on clearance?
Yes. That's weird. How did you know that?
Because I've had to pay $25 for mine.
See?
And mine wasn't as good. Mine I think was kind of bunk.
The fact that you're still having this conversation means it's quite good.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're playing along very well.
I'm flattered. So,
but seriously, I would say, on the topic of comedy, my folks are pretty funny. My folks are still kicking. My dad just turned 83. My mom is 82. And they're both very humorously oriented. It's kind of that waspy family of loners type of gentle ragging on each other. And I just, they're still funny people, very witty. And I think I just kind of oriented that way. I think I'm talking seriously now. I like to talk serious about stuff, but if humor is just great, it's such a great buffer. When I don't know, it's especially great if somebody comes up and they're a dick or something, but you don't want to be a dick back to them. Now you're a dick. So, but if you put humor, it's like it's a big old giant foam rubber boxing glove you can put on. And you let them know, and they kind of let them know they were kind of being a dick. But now you're not a dick. Hey, he let me know, and he wasn't a dick. How many times have I said dick? Have you counted? Is it like 8?
So I'll count the beeps later. No, there's no censoring here. No censoring here.
Good. So, and I was class clown, and I was a comic, stand-up comic for 12 years.
Okay.
And so, and actually made a living at that. And then got into TV, did some gigs. And then in around 2002, 2001, digital filmmaking really took off, and it was like, for at the time, $7,000 you get a PowerBook, Sony Mini DV camera, and something like Final Cut Pro, and you can make a pretty good film. You've got the technical capability there of making a pretty good film. So, and that was what I did with Walk. So, not that it's a good film, it's a great film. And it's just been fun. I mean, I'm sure you're getting some of this doing your podcast, that just you have the final say in it. And having worked in TV where you have higher ups and producers, and who a lot of which are smart, funny people, just something you're always kind of feeling under the umbrella. Oh, I got to make sure it's this way or that way. I mean, I was quite rebellious at times, but it's nice having control of your final product that you're putting out there. So that's what I've just basically kept doing, and I've been able to, as a result, make just enough money to still live with my 82-year-old parents.
Oh.
I love that reaction.
Many a hiker has that story.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But it's always a trade-off. But man, it's so, this. It's so fun out here. It's so, there's just that kindness, the simplicity, the sense of adventure, the generational spanning. Like this kid's sitting next to you. What is he, 19 for God's sake? But 18, see? It doesn't matter. We're all hiking, and how that disappears. Let me tell you, the ladies aren't too bad either out there, ladies. It's just fun. It's got everything. And this is the other thing about why I've kept doing it. A big reason I've kept doing it is the all-encompassing aspect of it. Meaning, I'm in my mid-50s, so it's a way to keep yourself in shape. You're out there hiking, sometimes, like especially the AT, which I've just finished the third film on. You never know what's around the corner, so there's always that. If you remind yourself of that, because I'll have a tendency to get bored if there's long stretches of trail. But you don't know what you're going to see. You're going to see some strange animal behavior, meet somebody who's just crazy with great stories. And it's part of a process of making a film where you're enjoying this, but then you're going to have a few months, which is I kind of enjoy, is the logging and editing and trying to craft it into something that's interesting and hopefully inspiring to people to get out and either get out in the wild or at least maybe follow their heart a little more, do what they want to do, and don't feel they have to follow in somebody's footsteps. Ironically enough, as I talk about the trail. Because we're always following in someone's footsteps, I suppose. Anyway, I'm digressing.
But you don't necessarily focus on through hiking. All of your hiking movies, if correct me if I'm wrong, but you've always done different sections and always out of order. And
I'm hence the title of the AT films, Flip Flop Flippin' 2. That took me 2 seconds to come up with. And Flip Flop Flipped. I'm not a very linear person anyway, and plus those types of films have been done, going from north to south, and I'm going to make a movie. There's a lot of those films, and there's been a lot of good films, but conceptually, I think at heart, as you alluded to, I am a section hiker at heart. The idea of doing 5-6 months straight just doesn't appeal to me. Just doesn't on a guttural level. I like that. If I did. Although I did in 2011, I attempted a through hike of the AT, and I was genuinely psyched to do it. But I got peroneal tendonitis in my right leg, and it was something that I couldn't keep walking on. I had to get off trail for like a month. And by the time I did that, and the flipping and the flopping took longer than I thought it would. So my timing was, and I would have had to finish in November. You don't want to do that on the AT. Plus, since the focus of my films are the people I meet, hardly anybody out there. So I said, screw it, rest it up, come back the next year, finish it up. I come back the next year, and it's the hottest year on record. I get chronic bronchitis. I'm a pussy is basically what I'm saying. And I
believe in a recent episode of the Trail Show, they used the term injury prone.
I am. I mean, I'm like, there was a ball player named Fred Lynn. And he was a good player, really good, but he would always get dinged up. And I just kind of am that. And I'm not a believer. Well, you just don't want it bad enough. I go, I guess I don't, because I don't want to make my injury worse. My main goal out there is to get enough footage to get a film, and I'm meeting enough people. My hike is secondary, narratively as well as existentially. Thank you. To that. I mean, I think I started, and I still am primarily a filmmaker who's become not a through hiker, because I've never done a through hike other than the Camino, which is only 720, and that's, some wouldn't even count that as a through hike.
It's
but
mostly towns that you're going through.
Towns,
there,
and
right?
it's not a cakewalk, but it's not nearly as difficult to see AT or the PCT long trails out here. Mm-hmm. I mean, my films have been sectioned, but I really did in 2011. I really wanted to do a through hike because that would have been different, but. The peroneal thing was bad, and I tried, man. I was out there, and I ran into people who said, dude, you cannot hike on this. I went to doctors. You got to get off trail for about a month. And by that time, plus all the flipping and flopping time I do, and the focus of the films being about the people, I would have ended in November. And I'm no spring chicken, mid-50s, and I've always been a mediocre hiker pretty much as far as distance. 20 miles is a good day for me. I'm not going to be doing 25 on the AT, especially. I think my biggest mileage day ever was 32 on the PCT in Southern Oregon. Where some people have done 50 in a day. So, if I'm able to get stuff, but what happened in the last film, for example, when and in the last film I got a hernia, of all things. Yeah, injury prone would be a good.
I've had myself.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't even know there wasn't one thing. I wasn't trying to lift anything heavy. I did pump a squat just before that, though. It could have been who knows? And I didn't feel any pain, but I started up hills in New Hampshire, and whoa, that's painful.
No more squats for Squatch.
Yeah, it'll go away. Sure, it will. 5 minutes later, I got to undo the top of my pants, and there's like this 1-inch bulge. And I didn't know much about hernias, but I thought, that's probably her. I hope they got us on a tumor that just developed overnight or something. I run into a guy on the way back down the trail, and he was an emergency wilderness guy, and I described the symptoms, and he goes, yeah, and he knew it. He just said inguinal hernia. I've had them. And he goes, luckily you didn't get this in the 80s when I had it, because you'd be in the hospital for a week. Odds are you'll go in and out within 3 hours, and then you'll have to probably be off trail for roughly a month. No. And so it was like 3.5 weeks. And I was able to go back out. Yes, I do have that tendency to be injury prone, and I hope I'm overcoming that, because I'm going to Iceland this year, it looks like, to do a combo, branching out a little bit. I'm going to be hiking, but also I'm going to be biking for about 850 miles. There's a ring road in Iceland.
You hike across and then bike around?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, the opposite order. I'm going to bike.
Okay.
Yeah, bike around. Heard great things about this road. It's supposed to be one of the great road trip roads of the world. And so I think I can do it in about a month, barring injury, of course. Take like a week off, knock on wood, exactly. And then do this. Jonathan Lay, great hiker, photographer, and one of the guys who's really inspired me about Iceland. He took some great photos about 10 years ago when he was there. It's a northeast to southwest route, a little under 350 miles. It goes in some real desolate land. There's a 9-day stretch where you have to carry food. But I'm hiking with a Triple Crowner, Wing It. She's really cool. So I'm psyched on that, man. So I've got 2 weeks of buffer time. 4 weeks for each of those, and I got 2 weeks for like resting and driving, and in case I, in fact, do get injured, that I can hopefully get it done. So,
do you have a title in mind yet?
I don't. Do you? Anything?
Oh, God.
How about Iceland, Niceland?
Yes, but no.
It's exactly what that was my internal voice. It was like, close, but yeah, no cigar there. I don't know.
I'll get back to you if I have any ideas. Maybe any listeners of this podcast,
yes.
If you have any ideas, contact Squatch at squatchfilms.com.
Yes.
Give him suggestions for the title of his Iceland film.
Yeah, and again, I'm bicycling,
maybe buy some movies while you're at it.
That would be great. Thank you. And also, if this airs before the May 14th, I've got the Kickstarter thing going up. Just look under Iceland. I have the tentative title, Squatch's Hike and Bike Icelandic Adventure, with an exclamation point. That's really generic, I know. A lot of times it will occur, much like a trail name evolves while you're shooting it. I knew I wanted, like, for example, Flip Flop, the last AT film, I wanted it to be Flip Flop Flipped, like I did with the PCT films. It was walk, still walking, even more walking, and walked. So I started with Flip Flop Flippin', that I really wanted to do in 1 year. It wasn't like a plan to do 3 films. Flip Flop Flippin' 2, that was the best I could come up with, folks. And then Flip Flop Flipped. So
And now that you put it in past tense, you can't add any more to that series. Is that right?
Exactly. I've done every inch of those trails, and loved them. Recommend and people ask, well, now that you've done both, which is the best? If I had to pick one, I'd probably PCT, because it's the diversity. And AT is a ball buster, man. It is a hard trail. A lot of uphill, a lot of rocks, a lot of roots, especially in the north, but really beautiful in the north as well. I would go with that if you had to choose. I'm rambling. I'm actually performing my own questions here and answering them at the same time, aren't I? Sorry, dude.
Hey, you're making my job easy.
Good.
I wish all my interviews worked like that. So you said in 2011 you were sincerely attempting to thru hike.
Yes.
Is that something you think you might? Are you open to trying that again, or have you been there, done that, given up on it?
That's a really good question. I'm not. I don't have the door closed on it, but I feel like got to really be excited about that possibility. I mean, I've kicked around the idea of coming back and attempting a thru hike on the PCT and doing like 15 years later after doing, and then using footage from the first to see how much the PCT has evolved in that time, which trail angels have moved on. It's sad. I really feel bad for you guys that the Softly's closed up shop. I mean, those guys were great, legends. And so there's that. CDT people are now telling me, now you got to do the Triple Crown. First of all, it's ridiculous for me to consider myself like I could possibly be a Triple Crowner. It's so weird because I'm in kind of a ways kind of an anti-hiker. I'm always bitching about the hike, and I like it. For me, it's about the people and the fun, and I always kind of envy. I don't think like people are lying to me when they tell me, oh, I hiked 30 miles today and I really enjoyed it. I mean, most people when they say that, I really believe it, but I'm like, how the fuck did you enjoy walking 30 miles uphill and downhill all the time without going insane with boredom? See, that's my big problem with the trail is I will get in a particular ecosystem. I dig it, it's great, but if it's so similar for, let's say 3 miles, it kind of ebbs into a negative thing. And that one of the things, like I mentioned before, that turns it is I remember why I'm out there. I'm making a film. What's going to happen? Who am I going to meet? At any moment, you could meet or just see I might see a porcupine humping a squirrel. It could happen. Yeah, so you never know. You're going to get that. Or the time I was in Shenandoah National Park, and I heard something up, and I could look up and I could see there was a bear, maybe two. And I see this trail, and they're kind of moving down. I said, well, the smart thing with it, they're heading in that direction, so why don't I just film the trail, and hopefully they'll come down the trail. And lo and behold, two cubs just come into frame. I'm holding the camera there. They come into frame, walk 5 feet, and then each look back at me, one on the left, one on the right. It was like it was rehearsed. They just look back simultaneously. Then they move on. 3 seconds later, here comes Mama Bear into frame. Looks at me. I'm like, but then goes on the way. It was like, that shit happens. You shoot enough footage, you'll probably get some really cool shots like that. Be ready for it, So I keep the camera right there, right in front of you. My fanny pack, my cod piece, that is, people refer to it as. I'm able to get that camera out within about 10 seconds, and better than having to reach back and grab shit like that. You gotta have it ready to go.
Yeah. I'm only 20 miles into the trail here, and I've already learned that with my audio equipment. I need to just be one button press away from being able to capture that sound. Your invention that you had at the gear contest that's really great. Yeah, I was like, man, you're gonna get some good sound because, when you're hiking, you're gonna hear some cry or something, and if you can immediately within seconds get this, and hopefully it'll keep going, because I almost guarantee, man, you are gonna hear some sounds out there that you're gonna. What the hell? Because of the acoustics of the particular valley you're in, your unfamiliarity with that particular animal. Like when you hear an elk, have you heard an elk bugle?
Oh, yeah. It's
one of the main reasons I'm carrying an audio recorder is the hopes of capturing that sound.
Dude, you could get a Sasquatch. Oh, by the way, I should tell you this. We were just talking about before you walked up, because I'm into, that's how I got my trail name. I'm really into the phenomena of Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do think there is something to the phenomena in all probability, like there is an actual type of animal that's unclassified. And yes, I also think there's tons of BS and misperception and wishful thinking involved with this phenomenon. But I've talked to several hikers. Almost all of the stories I've heard from hikers when they've heard a weird, unusual cry, I think all of them are in Northern California. Tattoo Joe had one of those, 05. Said it was really close, really big, scary. Didn't sound like an elk. It was like, it just sounded, whoa. So be ready in Northern California, especially when you get near the Trinity Alps region. Yeah, man, I can't wait to hear. And are you doing a podcast each week?
That's the goal.
Oh, that's great,
That's
dude.
the goal.
I didn't know you were doing that. And before you came up here, who was I talking to? I said, yeah, Ratatouille's a cool guy. God, it would be a great idea if he did that every week. And Disco told me that. He goes, yeah, that's what he's planning to do. And I said, are you kidding? I go, dude, if those are just okay, and I think they're going to be more than okay, you're going to get a good following, I think. That's going to be, this guy's hiking and he's doing a podcast once a week. What's going on?
If I don't drive myself insane
after a couple of months. Well, it's good. What you're doing is you're streamlining your technology right now. You're getting it so it's easier and and just make it accessible. And I guess, I have the same issue too, and I'm sure you've occurred. It's like, yeah, you want to experience something, but you don't want to be the guy who suddenly, hey, he's got the camera out now, or he's doing that. But if you get to know people, and maybe, they get to know you and know that that's just what you'll do at the times you're recording. Maybe sometimes they don't know you're recording. Have you thought to ask people that too? Like maybe, hey, if we're hiking together, is it okay if I record you at time? Not like I'm following you, but if I'm in a group, I don't want to disrupt the flow of what's going. Would it be okay to record? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is actually a specific plan I have, and
never
record anybody without asking, of course. But if I'm hiking even for part of a day with some people, to ask them at the beginning, say, hey, are you comfortable with me? Are you willing to give me blanket permission to just flip on the recorder when something good is happening? And of course, if someone says no, I completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be the trail paparazzi and make everyone feel uncomfortable. That's not the goal. Not everyone goes out into the woods to have someone jump out from behind a tree and shove a microphone in their face.
No.
I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Have there been any Sasquatch sightings in Iceland? Reported Sasquatch sighting, or Yeti, or another relative?
No, but you know what? Oddly enough, dude, I have read from people, talked to people who've been there and read. And again, keep in mind, this is supposedly the most literate country in the world, which I think gives us another interesting air of mystery about it. But apparently not a good idea to joke about like fairies and trolls over there because it's so in their culture. There are zones that people think there are some of these type beings out there. So it's an interesting paradox of this like kind of intelligently oriented culture, yet there are these beliefs. I don't rule anything out, stuff like that. So I'm really like, I hope it's like going to be. Fortunately, a lot of these trips have always turned out better than I thought. Like when I did the Camino a couple of years ago, I was really excited about that, and it was actually better. Just all the people from all over the world. It always seemed, and you must do this, when you read about sections you're going to be hiking. A lot of the time when I end up doing that, it always turns out better than my imagination. I think you'll find this, man. They talk about trail magic for the hikers. And if you keep getting into the flow of stuff, you'll find, wow, that was kind of fortuitous that I was there to get that bit of recording. I mean, you'll find those things. And of course, there'll be things you'll always miss that you'll hear, oh, I wish I could have been there. But if you just go with the flow of the trail, man, a lot of good stuff happens. And I recommend it to any and all who are listening to this podcast. If you've ever considered doing a long distance trail or part of it, I can't recommend it enough. I can't even think of in the 12 years I've been doing this, someone who really seriously went, I through hiked the PCT or did a large chunk, and boy, I really thought it was a waste of my time. I mean, the vast majority is the exact opposite. It enhanced their life. It inspired them to do other things. It deepened their experience as a human being. Let's go to a clip.
This is Kinetic from South Lake Tahoe, and you are listening to Trailside Radio.
This is Tali from Israel, and you're listening to Trailside Radio.
This is El Flaco, 3-time Appalachian Trail thru hiker, currently hiking the PCT, and you're listening to Trailside Radio.
I'm Georgie Firefly Heitman.
And you are a retiring trail angel.
Yes.
For the few listeners of my podcast who might not yet know what a trail angel is, can you explain that?
A trail angel, and I think everyone has a little different version because everyone does their thing a little differently. To me, a trail angel is someone who has the ability to allow hikers to come to their place, to relax, maybe stay a night. Most hikers do. I fed them dinner when they came in and breakfast the next morning. and lunch was on their own, and pretty much it was all you could eat until I ran out of food because I didn't have storage space for a lot of leftovers. And we provided such amenities as a place to get a shower. We had a washing machine for clothes. We had a bin full of hiker clothes that people could borrow while they washed their own. We had towels and wash rags, and we did the laundry after they left, but they did their own laundry. We had line space. We had a computer that they could use. They could use our telephone if they had a phone card. We have 5 acres upon which, most of which, they could tent. We had some tents up. We had a tree house that was first come, first serve, unless someone put in a reservation, and we would do that. And we could provide a certain amount of transportation. The nearest really good grocery store was 30 miles away, and the variety of stores in Redding was 60 miles away, all one way. And we could take people to the bus in Redding or to the plane or train in Redding, and those tended to be emergencies, and we were very glad to help out then. Lots of trail angels have volunteers that have hiked the trail or hope to hike the trail that say, I'll come back and help you next summer. And if you're lucky enough to have those volunteers, and I did, I loved my volunteers. They did laundry. They made sure that the very earliest morning coffee was on, and everyone helped so much. It gave me an opportunity to take people that needed to go down to Redding and allow me to do my shopping, which generally ran with the food to around $600 every 2 weeks. And that's what we provided as Trail Angels. The other thing we did, because the Hat Creek Rim was directly north of us, is that if anyone came in ill, Firewalker and I made sure, if we could, that they did not leave our house until we told them that we thought they were well enough to make it, because you can die up there. Between the heat, if they're having diarrhea, if they're vomiting, if they dehydrate too much, they can die up there. So we could usually intimidate the young hikers and keep them. Occasionally, an older one would say, I know what I can do better than you can, and take off. Mm-hmm. There was a trail angel at Bernie Falls. She was a ranger there. She would call me and say, Georgie, you left such and such go too soon. They came in here so sick. They'll be here for days trying to recuperate. They were so dehydrated. It was usually an older person who said, I know better than you do. But most people don't. Yogi once said, and I'm a firm believer, trust your local trail angel at all times.
Mm-hmm. When did you start doing this?
In 1999, a couple came through. I used to work professionally for the Girl Scouts in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she was one of my high school volunteers. And when she graduated college, she married her grade school sweetheart, and they hiked the California portion on their honeymoon. And she got in touch with me because she knew where we lived. By the time they left, we were trail angels and posted at the local post office that we were trail angels. We didn't have anyone else that year, but that sign was up, and so I put underneath our phone number, hot tub. We had an immediate turnover, and we went from 1 or 2 a year to, in 2004, we had 30-some.
How have you seen the trail and the trail community change over the years?
There are more of them. At first, we increased about 30 a year. Mm-hmm. We figured out we couldn't cook in our kitchen anymore. So, because that's a lot of people beginning to come in at one time. They were coming in 5 or 6 or 7 at a time, and my kitchen wasn't set up for that day after day after day, and certainly my washing machine wasn't. And so 2 things. One, someone donated a washing machine. We hooked it up out behind the shop and garage, and that was where the hikers and all the towels and extra clothes got washed, and line sprays to hang them on. As far as the kitchen was concerned, I had a butane 1-burner stove, and I had found a tent like this that had sides that would come down that were net to keep flies and things away, and I was cooking in that, and I had a barbecue right beside me that dripped grease everywhere. That was in 2005. In 2006, in the spring, the Billy and Ed, who were managing Drakesbad, gave us a call and said, we communicated and we told you how many hikers were coming in from Drakesbad the night before so that we knew about how many to plan for, and we loved it. It was wonderful. And the few southbounders, we would phone them and say, these people are on their way south. So, it was back and forth a bit. We'd love to meet you. Why don't you come down to Drakesbad and spend the night? And so it was June. It was around my birthday time. It sounded like a great deal. And so we said we'd love to. And we went down to Drakesbad overnight. And when we came back, there was a box and a propane tank, these 5-gallon, 7-gallon ones, propane tank, and on our back porch with no sign. It didn't come UPS, it didn't come the mail wouldn't have picked it up or wouldn't have delivered it anyway. It didn't come FedEx, not a thing on it to say where it came from. We assumed it was a mistake and somebody'd come back and get it, and we left it there until the first hikers started coming through, and they were coming through, as I said, 5, 10 at a time. And finally, Dennis, who became Firewalker, said, let's see what this will do. And so we put it together, and oh my God, my whole world changed as far as cooking was concerned. 3 burners with a griddle that would fit over 2 and still take a 12-inch cast iron skillet, and I could do a whole loaf of French bread in French toast, but the thick flavored French bread.
Yeah.
I could do a whole loaf in one setting on this griddle, and it was like magic. I have yet to know who delivered that to my back porch, but it had to have been someone that hiked through in 05 and said, there is no way in the world this can go on, and left this for me. And Dennis and I will be grateful forever for whoever it was that did that.
Someone playing angel to the trail angels.
Our own very wonderful bit of trail magic. It was fantastic.
Well, that leads me to another question I want to ask you. Do you have any advice on hiker etiquette for new hikers like myself and how we can show our appreciation?
Okay, Yogi says it all in her handbook. If you can afford to buy a 6-pack of beer, you can afford to thank your local trail angel monetarily. If you can't afford that 6-pack, and you can't afford to thank your local trail angel monetarily, ask what you can do to help. Because in areas like mine, there's always firewood to stack. There are always a certain amount of weeds to pull or lawn to mow, things that we don't have time to do anymore. And we so appreciate that kind of paying back. Be nice. Above all, for God's sake, be nice. Don't expect anything, ever, because you may not get it and you'll go away angry. We do what we can do. We kept a water cache up at the trailhead up high on Highway 44. We kept a small water cache We did what we did at home. We transported people when we could, and we could not do any more. Smile a lot. Okay? Be grateful. More than anything, a very, very genuine thank you. We could not have done what we've done without donations, monetary. Go in expecting the usual amount is $20 a night. If you were sick and we wouldn't let you go, we waived any other nights because you would have been out of there if we'd let you. Okay?
Yep.
But $20 a night tends to be the norm, and no one considers that extra gallon of, or that extra 250 gallons of propane. No one considers, unless they ask in specific to be taken somewhere, no one considers the gas that we use. No one considers the miles we put on our car. Not just the gas, but the wear and tear. These are things that $20 donations never buy. Absolutely never pay for, sorry. And so that's why that donation jar's out there. I personally have never asked for a dime. I can't do that. The jug's there. And if someone that's volunteering for me wants to make the pitch, fine. They do it when I'm not around because they know. I will never take money out of that jug when there's anyone around. But I will take the money because I need it eventually out of that jug. At least one person helped themselves to the jug. To a tune of $100. I know it was in there before I left. I took someone to the hospital and it was gone when I came back. So be honest with us, please, because we're not making a profit here. We're just trying to keep our heads above water for the most part. And we love what we do, but if we're retired, we can't, we have a fixed income and we can't afford to do everything for free. So that's what you can do as a hiker. Be nice, respect your trail angels, don't expect everything. You are not a chosen person, and you don't have the right to anything.
What brings you down to kickoff?
I got to have my hiker fix. I am retired. I retired for good in 2012 when Firewalker passed away. I have 5 acres. I can't manage it on my own and do what I did, even with the volunteer help I had. Just too much. And we had things that needed fixing that we'd let go because we didn't have time in the summers when you do things up there. And so there were repairs to be made. But I still have to have my hiker fix. I've never gone without one. Kickoff, I've only missed 1 year since 2006, and I go to Cascade Locks during Pacific Trail days, and that's the first weekend in September normally.
I believe it'll be the last weekend in August this year.
Oh, excellent. And then at the end of September, if it isn't too far north or too far down in Southern California that I really can't drive it in one day, I go to Alder West.
The Gathering.
The Gathering. I love The Gathering with its Triple Crown awards and just seeing people that keep coming back year after year after year. It's wonderful.
And then this year that's up on Mount Hood in Northern Oregon. You'll be there?
I intend to be. I plan to be. Put it that way.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. I'll be back next week with some more interviews from Kickoff, including Half Mile, yes, Half Mile from the Maps, as well as POD and Disco from The Trail Show, the most popular hiking podcast out there. I'll be coming at you every week this summer during my 2,660-mile hike north to Canada, showcasing the people I meet along the way. This is Ratatouille, Trailside Radio, over and out.